There's something that's been on my mind for some time now. When I was younger and actively involved in church and religion, I read through the entire Bible a couple of times all the way through. And there are several notable stories that we're all familiar with. The story of Jesus, his crucifixion and resurrection, Cain and Abel, David and Goliath, Adam and Eve, Jonah and the whale, etc. But there was one story that always fascinated me that most people don't generally refer to, and it's the story of the Tower of Babel, one of the first cautionary tales of the Bible, found in Genesis 11, verses 1 through 9. Now, for those unfamiliar with the story, I'll put the text from the New International Version of the Bible on the screen, but in essence, at the time, mankind communicated with only one language, and they eventually decided to move east to a plain in Shinar, located between the Tigris and Euphrates River in modern-day Iraq. It's also the rough area for the ancient civilization of Sumer, one of the oldest known civilizations in history, which later became Babylon. The people of the earth all decided to build a magnificent city with a tower that reached the heavens. This concerned God, who then proceeded to scatter them over the face of the earth and confuse their language so they could no longer communicate with one another. Now, whether you believe this story to be literal or simply an etiological myth is up to you, but the consensus from most scholars is that it is the latter, meant to be a cautionary tale that human beings, when they come together in unison, can accomplish nearly anything. But because of the flawed nature of humanity, that kind of power and progress could actually be a bad thing that leads to our own demise. Fast forward several millennia later, and I believe that that very story, once an allegorical warning, has materialized in real form. I believe that the internet is our modern-day Tower of Babel. Just think about the internet, the power it holds, the possibilities it unlocks. Just 30 years ago, the world was a very different analog place. If you wanted something, you physically went to the store to buy it. If you wanted to communicate, you picked up a phone and talked to someone, or wrote them a letter. If you wanted to remember your vacations, you took physical photographs. If you wanted to find a date, you went to a third place like a bar or a club. On and on, the world was a place where, for the most part, people were confined to their own little areas and their own little group of friends and family. But now, in an instant, you can order food, groceries, even furniture, even automobiles online. You can open up a dating app and look at profiles without ever getting off your couch. You can message someone halfway across the world without traveling there in person. It's truly remarkable how far and fast that technology has propelled us forward. And even though we do all speak different languages, there is a broad commonality of English being spoken all over the world. Besides that, all we need to do is talk into our phones and have it translate our language into anyone else's, hence making it possible to communicate with just about anyone on the planet. Kind of like the story in Genesis. We're at a point where the internet and technology can bring all of mankind together. The possibilities are endless if all of mankind combine their talents to benefit the species as a whole. Who knows what we can accomplish? If only that were true. Instead, like the concerns God had in Genesis of allowing humans to combine their efforts in a technology that could, quote, reach the heavens, God knew that human beings, given this awesome responsibility and left to their own selfish devices, would instead use this effort to destroy themselves. And God's concerns are now justified when we see what people as a whole have done with this technology. Instead of using it to bring us together, we use it to anonymously attack and bully one another. Instead of using it to communicate constructively, individuals use it to make money by becoming influencers and social media stars. Instead of using it to bring a wider sense of equality to the masses, some use it to hoard resources, creating wealth without physical work, so that it becomes concentrated for only a select few. All of the fears that God had in this tale from Genesis are coming to fruition, and the path of mankind, should we choose to continue to build this tower to the heavens, so to speak, is set on a collision course of self-destruction. Already the birth rates have fallen worldwide. Already young people are ironically isolated from one another because of social media. Already children are losing their ability to critically think for themselves or have the attention span to learn any useful life skills. Already the private equity firms, day traders, and stock speculators have accumulated so much wealth they could never spend it in an entire lifetime, but yet they continue to hoard more and more. The hubris, greed, and arrogance of mankind is on full display with the internet, proving that we are not a mature enough species to handle this technology. God's concerns were right. And if we ever hope to save ourselves from a hell created by our own hands, we need to listen to the words of the Creator that knows us infinitely better than we know ourselves. We need to humble ourselves and reject this thing that was sold to us as a way to better our lives, but has provably made us more miserable than ever. We need to go back to basics, talking to people in person outside of our home, doing honest work that contributes something valuable to society rather than just numbers on a screen, valuing starting a family rather than pursuing our own selfish vices. Only then can we find the happiness and stability we once had before this tower was built. Maybe one day, far off in the future, when mankind has truly shed the remnants of its massive ego, selfishness, and pride, we can truly come together and build a tower that benefits the species as a whole. But that time is not now. So the best advice I have is turn off the TV and grab a book to read. Get off of social media and go outside and talk to people. Get off the dating apps and stop believing what the internet has told you for the last 20 years, that you somehow deserve everything you want in a man or woman, and just settle for a good, old-fashioned, kind-hearted, faithful, and hard-working partner who just loves you. I guarantee that if you do these things, you'll feel better. And if we all do these things collectively as a species, turn off the virtual reality we live in and start living in the real world again, we'll all be better off. And then who knows what we can accomplish.